Hello everyone, I'm Zach, and welcome back to the Freeman Project. If this is your first time here, I want to let you know that we're in the middle of a series of videos on Core 4. Highly recommend you go back and watch the other videos. Now, today, we're going to talk about the second pillar of Core 4, that being passion relationships. A disclaimer before we get rolling, I did not come up with the concept of Core 4. I do not want anyone to think I am presenting as though I came up with Core 4. Sean Whalen taught me Core 4. He probably learned it or something like it from someone else, or multiple someone else's, that he then combined into his teaching to me. In the book of his that I've already recommended. So feel free to go back and watch those. Feel free to go learn it from him. He has very in-depth teaching in his coaching group, the Lion's Den, of which I am a member. I am going to go over them a little bit in each video because they are the framework upon which I have built my life. They are a framework I suggest you test out at least for 30, 60, 90 days, something like that. And if you need, adapt it for yourself. However, if you're asking me questions, I'm going to address them within the context of Core 4. And I am building the Freeman Project within the context of Core 4. I need that to be known. So, passion, relationships. The big thing I've talked about in each area of Core 4 is a quantifiable goal in a set amount of time, broken down into daily activities. Now, sometimes they can't always be daily. Meaning, I see my girlfriend twice a week. Sometimes only once a week. Sometimes more. I cannot do the same quantifiable thing every single day because there are some days I will be with her. There are some days I will not. Some days will be date night. Some days I may work 16 hours. So, that said, you can set up quantifiable goals. You might be wondering what that looks like. However, before I get into that, I want to specify that relationships means all of your interpersonal relationships. Your children, your parents, your friends, your siblings, everybody, your community, your relationship with the people in your community. All relationships, all interpersonal relationships. That's what falls into passion. I write down relationships when I write down my Core 4. If you're going to change it, I highly suggest that you remember that the original word was passion and that you bring passion into your relationships. Be passionate about your relationship with that person. Be intentional about your relationship with that person. Take the time to figure out which relationships do not serve you, that you do not like or do not want. Remove them from your life. Set passion goals to remove certain people from your life if they create a major issue or you have a problem with them. I am very sorry. I am a professional, meaning my phone does sometimes go off because I am not yet a professional. Anyway, so quantifiable. Let's bring it back to that. If I want to find a girlfriend, let's make that a quantifiable goal really quick to step through. I have to figure out what kind of woman I want. I highly suggest you go for a certain type of person, especially based on the goals of the Freeman Project and the goals that I assume you have if you are bothering to participate. I know some of the people that watch our videos are already married. Deepen your relationship with your woman then. Make that a goal. What does that look like? We'll get there. In this example, it's finding one. So I need to quantify what I want in a woman. Then I need to figure out what kind of man that woman wants. Am I that kind of man? Do I want to be that kind of man? If I want a woman in fantastic shape, she's probably going to want a man who values his health, cares about what shape he is in. That does not mean that I have to be six-cut Greek god, six-cut, sick-cut, six-pack, whatever. I don't know which one I was trying to say. But it does mean that I have to at least show that I prioritize that. Maybe. Maybe you think she doesn't, then don't. You should still prioritize your health and fitness, as it is a pillar of Core 4, as we talked about last week. Anyway, now that I've done that, I'm going to figure out, where would I meet that woman? Where does she spend her time? In my case, politics and religion are a big deal for me. I want us to see relatively eye to eye on those. Churches, political meetups, podcast meetups, within the vein of the first two. Spoiler alert, that's where I met my girlfriend. Now that you've figured that out, you say, I'm going to attend these many of these types of things a month. Let's say I branched out to 4. 2 podcast meetups, a church meetup that happens to be a singles group, and a Young Republicans thing. Right? And then I start going to do all of those once a week. I go to one, and then the next week I go to another one, and so on and so forth. That is a quantifiable step that I can take once a week. With my kids. Say I want to deepen my relationship with my kids. What does that look like? Well, it could be a daily task to send them a text message that I love them every day, because both my kids do have phones. It's not really my doing, but they have them. So, that is something I try to go and do. I don't set that task for every single day, because I know they're busy on weekends. But I do text them every day that I think they have their phones during the week. I also, when they are here, set out one intentional task to do with each of them usually, or together, per day. My daughter was just here for a week. I would pick one thing in the passion category per day that I would write down. It would deepen my relationship with my daughter. For example, we did an individual road trip, just daddy and daughter, to deepen that relationship. I wrote down what kind of conversations I wanted to have with her during the road trip. Things like this. I literally thought all that out beforehand. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my son this year. He and I are going to go on an individual road trip, hopefully a hunting trip. Guns and ammo are kind of difficult right now, and I don't want to start him on a 30-06. But those are the types of quantifiable steps. If your goal is to deepen a relationship, think of things that will deepen the relationship by putting effort into that person. That is what prioritizing passion looks like. Each little thing is like watering the plant, and slowly the relationship grows and flourishes. Cutting out some relationships is an act of pruning. I'm going to use this garden analogy here a lot. The garden analogy actually applies relatively well in all areas. That way, I have quantifiable steps. I'm going to send a text message to my girlfriend at a certain time every day, or by a certain time every day, if I haven't yet. I'm going to take individual trips with my kids. I'm going to set a day to go hang out with this friend. Going to set a day to talk to a certain friend about something. These are passion goals. If you are in the Freeman Project, I would ask that you make one of your passion goals creating a relationship within someone else that is viewing these videos, that is part of the Freeman Project. Right now, the Freeman Project is this YouTube channel and the Facebook page. That's interaction. At the time I'm making this video, my videos get 4 or 5 views. This is like the 3rd or 4th video on this channel. As it grows, ideally, there will be more people to interact with. Find people to interact with. Show this to someone else that you think might be interested. Or don't. As a passion goal. But if you want more friends, same kind of thing. Figure out what kind of friends you want. Where do these kinds of people hang out? Go there. Do that. Talk to people. That is how you can build in the passion area. And I just want to reiterate before I close this video that I do want you to approach it with passion. Actively invest in these relationships. Make them matter. Let these people know that they matter to you. Do the same thing in your community. Actively try to meet your neighbors. Write something down, say 1 day a week, where you go to a neighbor and just say hello. Or something to that effect. Write a day down to hang out outside until you see a neighbor you can speak to. Something like that. Repeatedly, over and over, any repeated action over time produces results. This will deepen your relationships in your community, with your kids, your girlfriend or your wife, your friends, all of that. Make it a priority. Put it on your core 4 list. Let it matter to you by setting quantifiable goals and investing your time into them. Thank you. I hope that was relatively succinct and explanatory. I felt like I rambled on a little, but I really want you to understand this concept because the passion and interpersonal relationships is key. All of the core 4 really is key to building the type of man that the Freeman Project is trying to build. Free men who are trying to save our country via the brotherhood of these men, or build the infrastructures so that if we cannot save the country, the men in this group can survive that sort of catastrophic collapse. With that, I'll leave you this week. I'm Zach with the Freeman Project.